Hello everyone, and welcome back to AmmoMart.com, where you can find real firepower online. We're at the Buffalo Trading Company today in Findlay, Ohio, which has a marvelous gun store as well as an indoor shooting range, which we're going to use as the focus of this video. The purpose of this video is going to be twofold. We're going to be using some 12-gauge shotguns, and the plan will be to, one, ensure law enforcement that a product that is made to actually stop and neutralize a threat doesn't neutralize another threat they don't mean. And what I mean by that is they can't have any stray pellets, and you shouldn't want any for home defense either. So what we'll do is we'll work at distances of 10, 20, 30, and 40 feet, and we're going to shoot two different types of shotgun shells. One will be double-aught buck, and the other one will be number 4 buck. The main difference between those two shells is actually pretty simple. In your double-aught buck, you have 9 pellets. In the number 4, you have 27. Both of those pellets are going to be going down range at 1,150 feet per second. When we do our testing, you're going to notice some debris smattering on the targets here. And we selected these targets on purpose because they're police department requalification targets, and they're of a size that they need to make sure that all of the pellets stay in the green. Now, what's really interesting about shotgun shells, if you didn't know it, is there's more stuff in it than the actual pellets or shot. If we look carefully right here, and the cool part about this shell is you can see the pellets, and there's stuff behind the pellets. That stuff is called wadding, and when it hits the target, you're going to notice a bunch of almost tears in the paper. And hopefully we can capture some of that on ballistic gel as well. So if you hear me reference debris and a little bit of an unclean pellet strike, that's exactly what we would be referring to. So hopefully when we get on target downrange, we won't have too many strays. But the other, and just as important part of the video I'd like to focus on, is the myth that you don't really need to aim a shotgun for it to be effective. This is quite simply not true. I was in sales and guns for years, and I heard it over and over and over from potential customers. I want a shotgun because I don't have to be very good with it. That is unfortunately not the case. You do have to aim your shotgun. For instance, on some of the videos we'll shoot, I'll be aiming center mass for the police demonstration, and then on the other ones I'll be aiming out here at the number 7. And I'll use an orange sticker so everybody can see at home exactly where my aiming point is. This is roughly 7 inches away from the bullseye. On a guy my size, that puts the target about right here, just inside the torso, much as it is here, but not quite. This is actually a little closer inside the center than it actually is on even a guy my size. Now the point of that matter is this: when you're working at a close distance, you're going to need that target neutralized immediately. If you don't get off a well-aimed shot, things may not develop in your dangerous encounter the way you would like for them to. And I think you'll find, of course, as we go out, you're going to get some interesting results at 20 feet, 30, and 40. And I hope to instruct everybody in the idea that you do actually have to aim a shotgun as you would any other gun. It's not how much or the gun. It's whether or not you get off a well-aimed shot. So let's go off to the range and see what we get. All right, guys, welcome to the firing line. Once again, we're at Buffalo Trading Company's indoor range. The first evolution we're going to do is shoot the double-aught buck at 10, 20, 30, and 40 feet. I'll be aiming center mass of the target, and we'll see what kind of pellet spray we get. Hopefully not too much, especially for law enforcement purposes. Let's get started. Shotgun is on safe. I'm going to go put 1 round in at each station. Off safe. And here we go. Yowza, that's a bad day. Weapons on safe. 20 feet. 30 feet. And the conclusion at 40 feet. Real quick, guys, this is an 870 Wingmaster, 18-inch barrel, set up pretty much the way you would see it for law enforcement or self-defense for home. Let's roll those targets back in and see what we get. With the number, or the double-aught buck, we should have 9 pellets in the vital area, and we're not looking for any strays. And of course at 40, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 all accounted for. Good thing. Now we're going to go to 30. Little harder to tell, but as you can see, there's no apparent stray pellets, and it knocked the heck out of the top 9. And we'll move over to 20 feet. That is actually just some debris over here, but you'll notice 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, presumably 9, and no hint of strays. And for the last one at the 10-foot mark, not sure, looks like maybe some debris ripped the paper down there, but all centrally located, which is what you would expect at 10 feet. All right, now we're going to move on to the part where I aim off target on purpose and see how many pellets end up in a vital area. Off we go. All right, guys, once again, we're going to try some double-aught buck at 10, 20, 30, and 40, deliberately aiming off the target. Weapons on safe. On the sticker at 10 feet. $20. $30. All right, and now we'll do the conclusion at the 40-foot line, double-aught buck, aiming off the target. And here we go. Weapons on safe. Now we'll bring them in for a closer examination. So if we're looking for 9 pellets, this would appear to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This may be not. It's hard to tell. It could be some debris. But as you notice, nothing in anything that's vital. Trust me, this is going to hurt, but nothing in a vital area, not one pellet. Little better, but still maybe 2, 3 in the vital area. After that, everything pushed to the left. And of course, we have 20 feet. Interestingly enough, at 20, nothing. That would still hurt, but not immediately going to neutralize your target. This is debris here, and you notice centrally located, but that's off to the side a good piece. At 10 feet, at that close distance, we're going to need the target down now, not later. This may or may not do that for you, even off just the 6 or 7 inches. What we'll do next is move on to some number 4 shot, see how that goes. So this will be number 4, Buckshot at 10, 20, 30, and 40 feet, aiming center mass. Checking for how many stray pellets, if any, we have at those distances. I'm gonna go ahead and load one round. Weapons off safe. Center mass 10 feet. $20 feet. $30 feet. And the conclusion at 40 feet. Now we'll bring them back in, see how things went. $27 pellets in the number 4 buck, as you would expect, at 40 feet, couple of strays off the paper, mostly in a good vital area. No strays at 30. Lots of them in a good vital area. You would expect to find this at 20. Nice compacted shot, all 27 in an area one wouldn't want them to be. If you were on the receiving end, that is. And then, of course, at 10 feet, instant ragdoll. Of course, no strays, nice contained shot pattern. Now what I'll do is get some number 4s and I'll aim off the target and see what kind of result we get with more pellets in the shot. So, number 4, off the target on purpose. Off safe, and number 4 on the sticker. $20 mark on the sticker. $30. And the conclusion at 40. I'll reel them in and see what happens. Looks like we got lucky and got one of our pellets. As you can tell, the rest of them have migrated maybe bad, but 40 feet, you better do some aiming. Here, shot pattern once again pushed left, but couple in the 8s, 30 feet, better do some aiming. And at 20, things are starting to become more centralized. Not a lot in a super vital area though. Yeah, bad day. Question is, does it neutralize the target that you're going to need it to quickly at that distance? Maybe, maybe not. And then we have this. Oddly enough, as the fates would have it, so to speak, none of this is in the 8. And on every other target prior to this, at a longer distance, we did have some that migrated into the immediately vital area. So even at 10 feet, I think what this shows us is you better do some aiming. This here on me is roughly here. I will be injured for sure. Question is, am I immediately out of the fight that you're going to need that target to be at the 10-foot mark? Probably not. So what we're going to do is end our session today with firing some double-aught buck into some clear synthetic gel that we selected for our test and medium last video, and then move on to some number 4 in synthetic gel. And hopefully we can do all of this without damaging our target cam. Wish me luck. Double-aught buck, off safe. Well, the camera lived so far. All right, guys, so my aiming point was a little high. I was concerned about maybe rubbing some of this and damaging the camera, and I didn't want it to take too much shock to knock it off. But you can see all of the pellets, are mostly all entered here, downward angle, and then there's one BB still stuck in the gel. So all of this is through and through. Tremendous power with the 12 gauge, as everyone knows. And as you can tell, a little bit of the shock wave here. Definitely an effective home defense weapon. Now we'll try some number 4s and compare the blocks side by side. So this will be our last shot of the day. Number 4 buckshot at 10 feet into some clear synthetic gel. Once again, all the while trying not to damage the GoPro. Weapons off safe. I'm going to try to keep the relative same aiming point, a little highish into the block. Best part of that story is the camera's still intact. I'll go get the gel and we'll compare them side by side. So side by side, we notice there's a lot of dramatic differences between the number 4 and 27 pellets as compared to the double-aught buck with 9. This here is kind of impressive. You look at the contact point, of course, on the edge, and all of this stuff, this little, you can see the kind of discoloration as I push down on the gel. That's a bunch of debris and wadding and stuff, the nature of which shells are made. Also don't want to get hit with. And oddly enough, at this range into our gel, you have a ton of the pellets still intact, and it does not look like, according to the back, that any of them exited. Whereas only one of the double-aught buck actually stayed in the gel. You can argue till the cows come home about which one of these two results you want. Some would argue this is too much, and when the projectile, whether it's a bullet or a pellet, exits, then it's over penetrating, and you would like to see all of the energy that the round has remaining in the target. I know this much. I don't want to get shot with a 12 gauge no matter which way you see the world. Definitely not a good day. However, what we'll do maybe later on is test where this would stop with another gel and another gel to kind of give people an idea when this process would end with double-aught buck, but that's in a later video. Thanks for watching. everyone, welcome back to our outdoor session with our shotgun using double lock buck and number 4 buckshot. So we saw what it did to paper. I don't know about you, but I'm curious to see what's going to happen when it hits a chicken. Let's go. We're going to start with our double lock buck, weapons on safe. We're in the tube, off safe, and cluck, cluck, Mr. Chicken. Now that, boys and girls, is how it's done. Anybody want a lay quarter? Woo! Never underestimate the knockdown power of double hot buck and slow. Yeah. Let's see what happens with the number 4. This will be our test with number 4 buck, 27 pellet. We're watching chronologically what happened to with the double lot. Wow. Coming at you, Colonel Sanders. Holy smokes, I think that was worse. Weapons on safe. Goodness gracious, I feel like I work at Chick-fil-A. Let's go put him back on the table. So, close comparison of the two chickens. I'm going to get this leaf out of here real quick. This chicken kind of oriented like for like, of course, as you can tell, legs splayed the both ways and the same way. Remarkably similar. This is number 4 and this was the double lot. It looked like to me, and I'd have to review the film, that the number 4 came off the table higher, which might have to do with more, pellets entering the cavity at the same time. But as you can tell, it's sort of just almost incisors the wing. Both ways they're sort of attached, but what's really keeping all of this together is the flaps of skin on both critters. But at this range, remarkably deadly, remarkably similar looking meat removal, and absolutely nothing you'd want to catch, and you don't see any difference in pattern or any other sort of thing like that. You can tell it pretty much filled up the chicken's cavity in that small little area from roughly, I'm going to guess, 15 feet. Devastating power and remarkably similar. Kind of cool.
Hi everyone. If you're enjoying this video series as much as we are making them, please like and subscribe.